Like and subscribe and click the bell icon to get new video updates.
Russia claims to have taken full control of Ukrainian city of Mariupol. Russia claimed to have captured Mariupol in what would be its biggest victory yet in its war with Ukraine, after a nearly 3-month siege that reduced much of the strategic port city to a smoking ruin, with over 20,000 civilians feared dead. Russian Defence Minister Sergei Shoigu reported to President Vladimir Putin the complete liberation of the Azovstal steel plant in Mariupol, the last stronghold of Ukrainian resistance, and the city as a whole, spokesman Igor Konashenkov said. Russia's state news agency RIA Novosti quoted the ministry as saying a total of 39 Ukrainian fighters who had been holed up at the steelworks had surrendered since Monday, including over 500 on Friday. As they surrendered, the troops were taken prisoner by the Russians, and at least some were taken to a former penal colony. Others were said to be hospitalised. The defence of the steel mill had been led by Ukraine's Azov Regiment, whose far-right origins have been seized on by the Kremlin as part of an effort to cast its invasion as a battle against Nazi influence in Ukraine. Russia said the Azov commander was taken away from the plant in an armoured vehicle. Russian authorities have threatened to investigate some of the steel mill's defenders for war crimes and put them on trial, branding them Nazis and criminals. That has stirred international fears about their fate. The steelworks, which sprawled across 11 square kilometres, had been the site of fierce fighting for weeks. The dwindling group of outgunned fighters had held out, drawing Russian airstrikes, artillery and tank fire, before their government ordered them to abandon the plant as defence and save themselves. The complete takeover of Mariupol gives Putin a badly needed victory in the war he began on February 24, a conflict that was supposed to have been a lightning conquest for the Kremlin but instead has seen the failure to take the capital of Kyiv, a pullback of forces to refocus on eastern Ukraine, and the sinking of the flagship of Russia's Black Sea Fleet. Military analysts said Mariupol's capture at this point is of mostly symbolic importance, since the city was already effectively under Moscow's control and most of the Russian forces that were tied down by the fighting there had already left. In other developments, the West moved to pour billions more in aid into Ukraine and fighting raged in the Donbas, the industrial heartland in eastern Ukraine that Putin is bent on capturing. Russian forces shelled a vital highway and kept up attacks on a key city in the Luhansk region, hitting a school among other sites, Ukrainian authorities said. Luhansk is part of the Donbas. The Kremlin had sought control of Mariupol to complete a land corridor between Russia and the Crimean Peninsula, which it seized from Ukraine in 2014, and free up troops to join the larger battle for the Donbas. The city's loss also deprives Ukraine of a vital seaport. Mariupol endured some of the worst suffering of the war and became a worldwide symbol of defiance. An estimated 100,000 people remained out of a pre-war population of 450,000, many trapped without food, water, heat or electricity. A maternity hospital was hit by a lethal Russian airstrike on March 9, producing searing images of pregnant women being evacuated from the place. A week later, about 300 people were reported killed in a bombing of a theater where civilians were taking shelter, although the real death toll could be closer to 600. Satellite images in April showed what appeared to be mass graves just outside Mariupol, where local officials accused Russia of concealing the slaughter by burying up to 9,000 civilians. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy said Monday the evacuation of his forces from the miles of tunnels and bunkers beneath Azovstal was done to save the lives of the fighters. Ukraine needs Ukrainian heroes to be alive. It's our principle, Zelenskyy said. Earlier this month, hundreds of civilians were evacuated from the plant during humanitarian ceasefires and spoke of the terror of ceaseless bombardment, the dank conditions underground and the fear that they wouldn't make it out alive. As the end drew near at Azovstal, wives of fighters who held out at the steelworks told of what they feared would be their last contact with their husbands. Olga Boyko, the wife of a Marine, wiped away tears as she said that her husband had written her on Thursday, "Hello. We surrender, I don't know when I will get in touch with you and if I will at all. Love you. Kiss you. Bye. Natalia Zaritskaya, wife of another fighter at Azovstal, said that based on the messages she had seen over the past 2 days, now they are on the path from hell to hell. Every inch of this path is deadly. She said that 2 days ago, her husband reported that of the 32 soldiers with whom he had served,